Hey John, I hope you're doing well. So right now you're looking at the Unity order that you made. So I was able to keep keep your UI for the most part. I'm just gonna run it. I had to make some pretty new scripts. I wasn't able to use any of the old ones as much as I would thought. But let me just go through the hierarchy and just get to the important points. So the canvas is basically everything that you see here and all of its all of its elements. So this is the header. Let me just go to the scene. It's the header, the virtual bedding header, and then it's the header panel. It has the close button. Then there's the bedding roster. Yep, and so it's just the left side of it. And then there's the place bed panel. That's the right side, right? And all the elements in that um, is child to this placing bed panel. So in order to get this to work, I actually had to do a lot more actually because I cut out some of the images so that they sort of can stay that their look and feel can stay the same or be consistent with the image. So one thing I noticed is that when I downloaded this image, it still had the Fiverr watermark. If you can give me an image without the Fiverr watermark, that would be greatly appreciated. I'll just put that in here and then you should be good to go. Um, and then, so let me go to this object. So this object is the players. So when you start the scene, you have to make sure you have players, right? Like I said, this is the player script that's already been defined, so I was able to use this again, right? And so a player, the important part is the image index. I'm going to get to that in a second. Total money. This is not needed. A player bet, not needed for now, and then the player name. That's important. I made 8 players, and then once you create the 8 players, or well, then once you have the players, then there needs to be pairs created. So a pair is basically 2 sets of players, and so let me just go to the image so I can show you what's going on. So this and this is a pair. These two guys, they're a pair. So every item in a roster has a pair, right? So that's how this pair is how I'm able to generate the roster items or the roster list items. So if you add more pairs here, it's gonna add more to the roster list. So just keep that in mind. And vice versa, if you remove pairs, then there'll be less items in the list. Loaded images. So I know in the last order I created a function to load images. This is a more optimized version. What I did is just load the image with the scene beforehand, so it's much faster for loading. Right? It doesn't take as much time, and you can load more images. So let's just run it real quick. So as you can see, this is interactable, right? This isn't an image anymore, right? This is an actual working Unity scene. You never went through all of the details, but like I said, the fiber needs this watermark is still there. That's I'm pretty sure you don't want that there, so I'll have to get rid of that. Um, I can click on these, right, and notice that on the placing bet side, these change, right? Now I'm not too sure how the select button work. If you can clarify that, I can make that one tweak. That would just be one revision that have to be made. So you have the buttons, the small bet, the medium bet, and the large bet. So how this bet system works is that these two buttons are based off what the small bet is, right? So the small bet is, let's say the small bet is 100, right? The medium bet is going to be 4 times that, right? Because 250 times 4 is 1,000. And then the large bet is 5 times the medium bet. So make sure when you want to edit the values of these buttons, that these are relational, right? Now you can change that. There's nothing. It's not fixed that it should do that. But I thought that it'd be better and more consistent because you don't want outrageous number. These wouldn't be sort of consistent. The same way with the slider. Now before the slider just went to it'd be 250, then you move to the right 251, 252, 253, 254, so on and so forth. But I decided no, that's not a good way to go about it. What I did is more intervals. So what it does, it takes, so the minimum value for the slider is 250, and the maximum value for the slider is 5,000. What it does is it takes the small bet, it takes a large bet and divide it by a small bet, and this will tell you how many movements or adjustments that can be made in the sliders. Right now, I think it's like 20 sliders. So when you times 20 times 250, it's 5,000. Whatever the number is, it's going to give you 5,000. I'm pretty sure it's 20, right? And that's how, if you notice, if I tweak, if I go to the right, it goes up by 250, right? If you like this approach, we'll keep it. If you don't, we can increment it by 100. It's just something a little different, right? But as you can see, like I can put my mouse over this button and they interact, right? The same with the select, right? This isn't an image anymore, right? This is an actual clickable button, right? This is an image, but this is a clickable button, right? These values change, these values change. Um, the custom bed panel, those values change. The confirm bed, like maybe you can tell me what needs to go here, but the numbers is changeable. I only have this number here to show you that these are the maximum amount of value without the numbers going outside of the field, right? So you can have that many digits in this field and it's still acceptable, right? So let's go back here to the left side. You can click anywhere in the roster and it loads those players into the playing onto this side, right? Right. And so I was able to keep the UI just the way you had it with the image. So that's pretty much it. Once again, I'm gonna zip the project up and send this to you. If you have any questions, just let me know. There's some other stuff I need to go through. So the images, these are the images that I had to cut from the roster. So if you notice, like this is great because I had to edit, crop and edit that image. I had to make some edits, right, just to make it to work. The important items are the roster item and the scroll view. I didn't really use the bet machine, the betting module, and the player, but they're yours and you can keep them. The most important scene is the UI scene. The sample scene you don't need, and the roster item you don't need. And the scripts, as you can see, there's quite a ton of scripts. But the important one, the images, pair, player, custom bet, cancel button, betting roster, bet panel, and roster item. Right? Those are the important scripts that you need to care about. I added this font here. It's a free font, but just double check the license if you can use it or not. But yeah, this is the scene. The X button doesn't do anything. It registers a click, right? You can see it was clicked, but it doesn't do anything, right? And then this counter, well, there's not a counter, but this status is telling you amount of players in the roster currently. So there's 12. So like I said, it's related to these pairs. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And it's just a duplicate. Another 4, 8. Another 4, yeah, 8, and then another 4, 12. All right, but anyway, if you have any questions, just let me know. And thank you for your order. And stay safe.